Ministers, Excellencies, in particular dear Phil, dear colleague from Canada, Professor Grasse, dear Kun Isara, distinguished delegates, business leaders in particular, ladies and gentlemen. Also from my side, a very warm welcome to all of you. Today's event wouldn't have been possible without the engagement and support of a number of institutions. So let me start by expressing my sincere gratitude to all the organizers and sponsors, the Asian Development, the Government of Canada, the Asian Disaster Preparedness Center, the Global Disaster Preparedness Center, the Asia Foundation, and of course our colleagues from the Global Initiative on Disaster Risk Management in Germany for jointly convening this Asian Business Forum on Risk Reduction and Resilience Building. There is no doubt that Asia is the most disaster-prone region in the world. During recent years, the region had to bear the biggest share of human and economic losses caused by disasters that can be very often directly linked to global warming and climate change. In Asia, as well as worldwide, governments and private business have to deal with increasing losses and damages and are constantly challenged by new hazards. Increasing unknown risks can severely jeopardize the competitiveness of enterprises and countries' investment profiles. We therefore highly welcome a dialogue between the public and private sector to share expertise and experiences on how to properly assess risks and to embed risk management into business models and practices. For public and private sector stakeholders alike, it is of utmost importance to ensure that investments are risk sensitive, that infrastructure is resilient, and that risk governance systems are in place to secure sustainable development. Business resilience is key to drive economic growth, to protect livelihoods, and to secure jobs, particularly in risk countries and cities. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning I would like to share with you some of our own experiences in Germany. Germany has been particularly affected by floods in recent years. The devastating extent of the flood in 2013 even exceeded precedent floods in 2002 and 2006. Reported damages in the affected federal states amounted to more than 7 billion euros. This included in particular damages to private households, public infrastructure and business and private businesses, as well as to agricultural, forestal and cultural facilities in 12 out of the 16 German federal states. Business operations and supply chains have been disrupted. Public infrastructure, including major highways and parts of the German railway network, were damaged, causing logistical processes to fail. Many employees were unable to commute and get to work. The construction and tourism industry were among the most affected industries. Construction work at that time were already falling behind due to the long and harsh winter in Germany, and the hotel and restaurant owners reported high cancellation rates and losses even in regions that had not directly been impacted by the floods. Nevertheless, despite the magnitude of these disasters, private and public sector in Germany were not hit completely unprepared. On the contrary, a number of preparation measures initiated beforehand and steps taken after the floods hit the country proved to be rather successful. First of all, the federal states coordinated their response efforts, which made it possible to support the most affected areas across federal state borders. Fire brigades, police forces, and aid organizations worked closely with emergency services of the federal government, including the Federal Office for Civil Protection and Disaster Assistance, the Federal Agency for Technical Relief, the federal police and the federal armed forces on dike reinforcement, polder flooding, removal of water damages, supply of drinking water and evacuations in 8 federal states. This approach has proven to be successful and will be continued in the future. In addition to this coordinated approach, it also proved valuable that following the flood in 2002, politicians had worked out a bundle of new legislation, in particular inducing changing in the Federal Water Act, the Code of Building Law, the law for the German water services, and even the Regional Planning Act. And finally, it also helped in the aftermath of the flood of 2013 that Germany provides a market-based natural hazard insurance system through private insurance companies as a supplement to building or content insurances. From 2002, the first flood, to 2013, the Ministry of Interior in Germany recorded a significant increase in this kind of insurance, and today 32% of all buildings in Germany are covered under this scheme. And this coverage certainly is one key element in mitigating the financial consequences when it comes to damages, despite all precautions taken. Ladies and gentlemen, the floods in Germany, as well as in Thailand, as well as, of course, major disaster events like the great East Japan earthquake in 2011 or even the recent earthquakes demonstrate to what extent also highly developed nations and emerging economies, despite all preventive measures, continue to be at risk. And if we take a look at the private sector in these countries, it looks like, as a consequence of recent lessons learned, larger enterprises are more likely today to consider and include disaster risk management and business continuity planning in their strategies. SMEs, on the contrary, are generally less protected and often hit hardest by the impact of disasters. They are particularly vulnerable and often unaware of the risk they are facing. They lack knowledge and have limited resources to reduce and transfer disaster risk or prepare adequately, as they usually have weaker financial structures and are heavily dependent on credit. So access to financing is a major challenge for their efforts in disaster preparedness. SMEs tend to have a lower product width and fewer opportunities to diversify or to expand the production range. As they are already small, it is also more difficult for them to downsize in recovery. So SMEs affected by disaster have therefore often been forced to cease their operation. On the other hand, and this was already mentioned by previous speakers, SMEs are the backbone of many of our economies. SMEs play a significant role in all our economies and are the key generators of employment and income. Hence, if we aim to strengthen the disaster resilience of business, offering appropriate solutions for SMEs will be most critical for achieving this. Therefore, SME resilience is one of the key elements of Germany's global initiative on disaster risk management, which is coordinated by GIZ. This initiative not only embeds, of course, the perspective of all relevant German ministries and authorities, but it also brings together a wide range of stakeholders from developing, emerging, and industrialized nations, working for governments, academia, civil society, and the private sector. It provides a forum for new and innovative ways of collaboration in disaster risk management. And with this initiative, Germany does not only aim to contribute to the successful implementation of the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction, but also to sensitize public and private sectors to take risk-informed management and investment decisions and to promote resilient, sustainable growth and shared prosperity. The Global Initiative on Disaster Risk Management looks particularly into the role of the private sector, which on the one hand is an exposed actor that might unknowingly contribute to the creation of new risks, but on the other hand, the private sector can also be the potential pioneer for innovative solutions in disaster risk management. And in line with this strategy, the Global Initiative on Disaster Risk Management has initiated 2 undertakings in Asia to improve disaster risk management in and strengthen resilience of businesses. First, in a joint partnership with the Asian Development and the Asian Disaster Preparedness Center, the Global Initiative has closely cooperated with national government agencies for the promotion of SMEs, as well as with chambers of commerce and respective national stakeholders in disaster risk management in Indonesia, the Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam. To develop specific solutions and technical support, and to compile policies, legislations, and operational factors, surveys have been conducted in all 4 target countries. At the forefront of the establishment of one-stop solution centers by the respective government agencies and business associations that will be able to provide disaster risk management-related support needed by SMEs. Secondly, the Global Initiative also works together with the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction and the Pacific Asia Travel Association to focus their efforts particularly on tourism sector in the Asian Pacific region. The so-called Hotel Resilient Initiative aims at supporting the management of hotels and resorts in order to increase their understanding of disaster risks and impacts, to reduce their business risks, and to improve the protection of their staff and guests. The initiative is currently collaborating with a consortium of universities and private sector agencies led by the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology to develop a risk management standard addressing natural and technological hazards. These standards help or are intended to help hotels and resorts to improve their disaster risk and emergency management capacities. Thereby, it also increases their competitiveness and provides them a marketing advantage. Ladies and gentlemen, Thailand is one of Germany's most important partners in the Southeast Asian region. It is in the interest of both our countries to boost further business cooperation between our companies and to drive economic development in the region. Therefore, we aim at making climate and disaster resilience a business case and strengthening the resilience of society at large. Today's Asian Business Forum is an important step to emphasize the need for the public and private sector to work together to strengthen business resilience and economic stability across regions, and to highlight the integral role the private sector can and needs to play for the risk-informed, sustainable development. With this in mind, I wish you all a fruitful discussion over the next 2 days, and thank you very much for your attention.